I pulled the JBL Tour Pro 3 out of the case for the first time and I noticed the stems felt almost hollow. Not fragile, just unexpectedly light for something this feature-packed. That lightness was the first clue that these weren't going to behave like every other pair of wireless earbuds I've tested. The stems are slim, textured plastic with a matte grain that doesn't slip around when your fingers are slightly damp or oily. Each bud weighs about 5.6 grams, which is light enough that you forget they're there after the first 20 minutes. The nozzles are short and ovoid, sitting shallow in your ear canal rather than jamming deep inside. The housings are oddly shaped, almost bulbous, and they make contact with 3 points in your ear, the concha, tragus, and antitragus. It's a wedging fit more than a suction fit. The case is where things get interesting. It's heavier than most, about 78 grams, with a glossy finish that picks up fingerprints immediately. But the weight makes sense when you realize there's a 1.45-inch LED touchscreen built into the front. The hinge has a firm snap when it closes, and the magnets inside hold the buds in place with a satisfying click. The screen itself is responsive, but not iPhone smooth. There's a slight lag when you swipe, like using a budget Android tablet. Still is functional enough that you can adjust ANC levels, skip tracks, or check battery life without pulling out your phone. JBL includes 5 silicone ear tip sizes and 1 pair of memory foam tips, which is rare and appreciated. The foam tips change the sound signature slightly, more on that later, but they also seal better if you're someone who struggles with fit. The first time I put these in and played music, I immediately noticed the bass had texture rather than just weight. It's smooth and controlled, and not boomy or bloated like older JBL models. The Tour Pro 3 uses a hybrid dual driver setup, a 10.2mm dynamic driver for lows and balanced armature for highs. That split shows up in the clarity. Cymbals and hi-hats sit crisp and separated above the bassline without bleeding into each other. The noise cancellation is solid but not surgical. It cuts train rumble and cafe chatter effectively, but the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra earbuds still edge it out in pure isolation. Where the JBL Tour Pro 3 pulls ahead is called quality. The 6 microphone array with beamforming handles wind and street noise better than any wireless earbuds I've tested recently. Voices come through clean and full, even when I'm walking past traffic. One thing that took some getting used to, the Studio EQ preset flattens the bass slightly compared to the default sound, which is already bass forward. I ended up keeping it on studio mode most of the time because the default tuning felt too thick for podcasts and vocals. The Personify 3.0 feature, which creates a personalized sound profile by having you tap your screen when you stop hearing test tones, actually made a noticeable difference. It's not a gimmick. Compared to the Sony WF-1000XM5, the Tour Pro 3 has a fuller mid-range and cleaner soundstage. The Sony's treble has more sparkle and detail, but it also feels slightly synthetic. The JBL feels more organic, even if it's not as technically precise. One minor quirk, sometimes the touch controls register double taps when I only meant to tap once. It's not a deal breaker, but it happens often enough that I started being more deliberate with my taps. When you scroll through the product page, it's clear JBL wants you to focus on the smart charging case and the dual driver setup. They lean hard into the touchscreen, Auracast broadcasting, and the USB-C to 3.5mm transmitter feature. And honestly, those features do deliver. Being able to plug in the case into an airplane entertainment system or a vinyl player is genuinely useful. But what surprised me is how little they emphasize call quality, even though that's one of the areas where these earbuds absolutely destroy the competition. The wind rejection and background noise suppression are better than the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra, but you'd never know that from the marketing. I always find it interesting what brands choose to highlight and what they quietly leave in the specs list without fanfare. After a few days, the Tour Pro 3 became my default pair for work calls and commuting. Battery life, 8 hours with ANC on, meant I could wear them through an entire workday without worrying about charging mid-afternoon. The case adds another 33 hours, so I could only need to plug it in every few days. What I didn't expect to appreciate was the wireless charging on the case. I tossed it on the QI pad at night and never had a fumble with the USB-C port. That might sound small, but it's the kind of convenience that compounds over weeks of use. The IP55 rating of the earbuds meant I didn't worry about sweat or light rain. The case isn't water resistant though, so don't leave it outside. And one thing that changed over time, the memory foam tips started feeling more natural as they broke in. At first, they felt too tight. After a week, they molded to my ear shape and created a better seal than the silicone tips. JBL even has a separate audio setting in the app depending on which tips you use, which shows they actually thought this through. You don't really notice how much the case's transmitter feature changes your setup until you plug it into an old stereo and realize you can suddenly listen to vinyl wirelessly. The touchscreen of the case is sluggish, it's functional, but there's a noticeable lag when you swipe between menus. It doesn't ruin the experience, but it's there. The default sound signature is bass heavy to the point where it muddies vocals if you don't switch to the Studio EQ preset. It's not a deal breaker, but something I kept noticing during the first few hours. The earbuds are bulky, they don't stick out awkwardly, but they're noticeably larger than the Sony WF-1000XM5. If you have smaller ears, fit might be an issue. If you're the kind of person who travels frequently, takes a lot of calls, or wants the flexibility to plug into wired audio sources, the JBL Tour Pro 3 is absolutely worth the $300 price tag. But if your day is mostly casual music listening at your desk and you already own other premium earbuds, the difference may not justify the cost. The Tour Pro 3 isn't trying to be the best at any single thing. It's trying to be the most versatile pair you can buy, and in that respect, it succeeds. It's the kind of product that grows on you, not because it's flashy, but because it quietly removes friction from your routine.